Welcome back. We are now en route to the planet Crosa, and to figure out what's going on. So it's a 6-day journey. Is there things that you would like to be doing during the time? I know you have some data that you wanted to look at, some food samples, some things like that.
So when we are gathered together in the ship, I'll put all of the stuff down, boop, 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 files, recordings, food samples, explain to everybody. Well, we have comparative samples. We have the testimony of the witness. We have a lot of data gathered, and a theme with this tree.
The tree is only mentioned by the one that we know went mad enough to murder his friend. The tree could have just been what he was seeing. It may or may not be related. It could have just been some childhood memory come back to haunt him.
Perhaps.
I suppose we'll find out when we get there. For all we know, it's a tree and...
Perhaps. I'd rather prepare for it and not need it than need it and not have spent any time on it.
We've been exposed to both the people and the ship. If there's something contagious, we should find out in the 6-day trip there.
I believe we should have medical examinations every day at least. Every 12 hours would be preferable. If we can find any kind of accelerating cause or exposure, so much the better.
Okay. You could make some medical rolls for that to see if you notice any differences.
Wop-a-dop-bop. Got a 14. Do you want a few of those?
Yeah, just make a few of them. Like, we'll just say like one for every day.
17. A 27. And 24. And an 11. Your call.
Okay. None of the days you notice anything out of the ordinary for any of one. So everyone's in good health at various emotional states, waiting, boredom maybe.
I look at my own readings, take my pulse, take another puff off my cigarette. I'm smoking too much.
There's a surprise.
We did have some plans for Sparks to maybe try some life science rolls. I don't know what kind of lab systems we've got on ship, but if she could, just take a look at some of the data that was gathered from the ship, and take a look there. We got 6 days, and she's got life sciences, so we'll try to push our hotshot Arcanum graduate into using some skill.
Is there any like focus that you're hoping to get from this? Because life sciences is pretty broad. Push talk.
I know that he had collected some form of biological residue from their med bay, and I would like to log that at least and check it for any sort of biochemical anomaly.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and make the checks then on those samples.
Uh, 26.
Okay. There's a lot of extra chemicals in there for not panic, but just like increased stress and things that would make you a lot more aggressive and active.
Like adrenaline?
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the words I was trying to think of. Yeah, so there's a lot of elevated levels of adrenaline and things that you would kind of expect with the story that you've been told so far. So the body seems to be reacting as if it believes it was actually in danger and it was trying to protect itself.
That makes sense, considering the stories that we have heard.
I'm going to use that information to see if I can factor that into any ongoing observations we make. Can I use physical science to try to check for any kind of radiation or cosmic rays or something like that?
Yeah, go ahead.
As an aside, while you're rolling, the Pegasus class comes with a, it's just listed as a science, and I'm trying to check. I think that's good for like a +1 or +2 to this sort of thing. So I don't know if we've been that close on any rolls, but just something to keep in mind, Miss Ruthless Taskmistress GM.
All right, I will keep that in mind. As it turns out, it did not matter on those rolls.
Well, I rolled well, so I feel good about it not being that.
So what was your physical science roll?
There was a 21, 24, and a 17, and that was before I factored in the bonuses.
Okay. You don't get anything peculiar about these samples from a physical sciences world. I mean, you're in the drift, so like things are kind of weirdish because of the nature of where you are. But like from these samples itself, there's nothing out of the ordinary for the samples.
So you're saying Zinch is fucking with it? Gotcha.
There's a lot of possibilities.
All right, cool. Other than that, we do have the black box and records and all that stuff, so it'll take some time to go through that. So that's what I'm focused on.
Yep. Okay, go ahead with your questions.
Thane was going to take a look for any sort of just like travel log journal stuff that they recorded from like their time on planet, not necessarily even dealing with the madness in the air, but just stuff about the people and the world, so he can be ready to talk to hopefully some not crazy people once we get there. He'll be doing his kind of culture stuff just to try to pick up what he can pick up there on the way. He's got smarter people than him doing all the science. He will worry about the people.
Excellent. Okay. Let me go through a few things here. There's so the planet of Crosa is mostly broken up into two main continents. There's some islands that are smaller. They kind of dot the oceans. But two main continents. One is called Yalinar, and the other one is Ryla. And the expedition went to visit Yalinar. And I should say that there's two different nations, one existing on each of the continents that also go by those respective names. So they visit.
Is there a plateau on Ryla? Call it Lang, just for fun?
No.
Are the people of the two nations like the same species?
That's
biologically correct. Fairly similar, yada yada. Okay.
Yep, yeah, it's all the same species, just two different nation states. Historically have been at odds with each other through various historical times. Currently they had been at peace for 50 some years or so. The expedition had visited, like I said, Yalinar and the capital city of, let me see where I wrote this down.
Is that Antania?
Yes, Antania, thank you. Yep. Their local guide was Fandy, who we've mentioned before. There are not very many people at all who speak common on this planet. They all speak Crosan, as it were. I mentioned that up until recently, no other species had visited the planet before. That was until 3 years ago when they were visited by a local species called, let me see where I wrote that down. The Piscatorians first contacted them about 3 years ago.
Okay, is that like was it an organization, a corporation?
That is a species
what?
of it's a species of, yeah.
So no notes about, like, it wasn't a Piscatorian temp agency looking to recruit slaves. It was just no details about why they contacted them, just that it happened about 3 years ago, and that's about it.
That's not how slavers work.
Fandy had mentioned that it was a peaceful sort of meet and greet and trade sort of relations. There hadn't been a whole lot of contact since then. Just occasionally a ship will arrive and they'll trade some goods for some minerals, is what she says the agreement is.
Okay. Thane, with his knack for languages, will also be keeping an eye out in their journals for any quick notes that somebody put in the margins for, like, Fandy taught us how to say hello, or any kind of scribbles like that. Just the small stuff that he can try to do to be better at diplomacy roles once we get on planet and hopefully find somebody that doesn't want to eat our faces or something.
Yeah.
Just so he can try to do that sort of friendly chatter.
Yeah. There's definitely some notes about speech patterns and things like that. So just in general, a little bit unrelated to speech first, the winds are pretty strong on this planet, not to the point where like you're gonna have to worry about like standing still, but the winds are strong enough that it sort of affects the auditory, it affects the hearing. So the Crosons tend to speak with a more low and sharp words. Their language is kind of in the lower registers.
So my coat is going to look awesome.
If you're familiar with musical terms, like written in here, staccato, very sharp, precise, short phrases.
So probably kind of laconic also, not going to be big talkers because they're used to a hurricane drowning that out. So, okay.
Yeah. So their words and phrases, they tend to use like sturdy and strength to represent things that are good, and they represent like wavering, blowing in the wind, changing. Those sorts of phrases are seen as weak, or at least more malleable, and those are looked down on a little bit more. So some common phrases might be sturdy, my friends, or be steadfast, steady travels. Those are kind of common phrases and things similar to that. And there's some notes on like how to say those things in Crozon. There's a cultural story that sort of relates a willow tree, and so willow trees kind of blow in the wind quite a lot, so that's seen as a negative thing. But the moral of the story is, though, that even though that you sway and bend in the wind, you're able to be strong and persistent enough, and that someone can still have good character even though they might have some negative qualities to them. So it's sort of like even though some things might go wrong in your life, you can still be good despite.
So kind of a roll with the punches type of mentality. And you might, like willows, kind of give the appearance of being bent by the wind, but at the end of the day, they don't break. So they're doing something right. Kind of.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Okay.
I wonder if pushing somebody is like giving them the finger. I take your stability.
That would seem to make sense to you.
Did you see? I thought I remembered you guys finding some sort of drawing of a tree in Saba's thing, What sort of tree is it?
Certainly
It
looks
doesn't by
like there's
chance look like a windblown willow tree, does it?
I believe it does.
Let's not jump to conclusions, but that is a bit of coincidence, if nothing else. But then somebody suffering from madness might latch on to the nearest concept. But let's bear it in mind.
So a few other interesting things to note. In the cities, there's a lot of, well, not just in the cities, everywhere, the Crosans utilize that wind to their advantage for electricity. They have lots of windmills for like physical power, but also wind turbines. That's for electricity generation. So on tops of nearly every single building, and even just like standing out by themselves, there's quite a lot of these, and they're, as you would expect in strong winds, they're quite strong and able to, or built to withstand the winds. Also, in the cities where I was going before, is that the wealthier citizens of Crosta tend to live more on the ground floors because that's seen as sturdier, a little bit more protected from the winds, whereas people who are more down on their luck have less money, stay on the higher floors of buildings where they're closer to the machinery of the wind turbines, and also they face more of the brunt of the winds and the volume that the wind makes against the building. The culture also makes good use of the wind to make music, and they have a lot of wind chimes and sort of like whistles and like kind of like pipe whistles or organs, if you want to think of, but they're pretty intricately made such that changes in the direction of the wind, like up, down, left, and right, and around the cardinal directions, change how wind blows into the whistles and kind of changes the tone and the pitch. So you get some really musical sounds from that as well, and that's sort of like written about in the journals, and there's some like images as well.
Well, of course they're all insane. They can't sleep. All right, well, shall we move on to actual planetary arrival, or any other cool details?
Yeah, I mean, out of character, unfortunately, it looks like the GM's not letting us solve this one on the way to planet. Like, we can't just show up and be like, our work here is done. Later. So we, I think we've kind of done what prep we can. I'll look for any additional notes specifically about their local guide. Looking for, was it Fonda or
Fondi? Yeah.
Anything that I can, any notes or sketches or a picture in like the comlink file, just to make sure that we can find Fondi, because it sounds like she's one of the few people that's going to be able to speak common. Plus, she knows, the people that we were sent here by, so it feels like she's really kind of our phone a friend. So we want to make sure that we can get a hold of Fondi. So also make sure that the that communications information that Coppola gave us, make sure that that's like in the ship database, and I also share it with Zan and Velasco, who I think had left by the time we were swapping numbers and stuff. Make sure everybody on the team knows everything I know about how to get a hold of Fondi in case we get separated, in case whatever. So make sure we've all got that, and that's kind of all I can think of to prep.
Likewise, let's make sure that we have that we're all fluent in at least Pigeon Croson, so we can say stop, don't shoot, where's the bathroom, are you okay?
I do have a spell that allows me to understand any language for a brief amount of time.
Excellent. Man, what I wouldn't get for universal translators.
Comprehend language, baby.
Yep. All right. So all of that organization's not a problem. That's pretty easy to take care of. Yeah. So you guys drop out of the drift above the planet. It's nice to look at, blues and greens from space with not a lot of clouds though. Like anywhere on the planet.
I imagine what clouds there are like super swept and like constantly in motion, so they probably just kind of don't have a chance to build and gather and look impressive. They're just like, nope, gotta go.
Yeah, that's basically right. Yep.
Fauna must look crazy catching moisture that way.
I assume this place doesn't have a spaceport, being it's kind of behind technology-wise. Is there any indication where the previous team landed?
Yeah. With the Yolandan government to coordinate the landing site.
Can you run that by us again?
Oh, sorry. There's a radio frequency that the previous group used to communicate with the Yolandan government to coordinate their landing.
All right, how do you guys want to do this? You want to contact the government or go in quieter?
No, they suggested, and because we are here on official Starfinder business, let's go through official channels if we can. If we can find anyone sane and fluent in common, then let's use them. And if nothing else, this way the ship's logs will record that we made the effort. So let's reach out to that, the appropriate channels before landing. And if nothing else, record ourselves making the attempt to cover the Starfinder Society's butts.
Very well.
I'm sitting in the co-pilot seat. I'll, hit the comm button and point at Thane.
There you go.
Talkie, boss.
Croson Landing Authorities. This is Captain Caligos Thane of Sally's Grace and the Starfinder Society. We are here to assist, seeking permission to land.
So you have to wait a few moments longer than you would expect for any other like Starbase or any other docking authority to respond to you. Eventually you get what sounds like someone kind of reading from a script in really poorly spoken common, giving you permission to come and land, and gives you the coordinates, gives you coordinates to land. I'm forgetting the word, but like a GPS.
You got it.
Yeah,
landing coordinates is perfect.
And then afterwards, you hear the words danger, caution, and trouble.
We're in the right place, everybody.
Did those sound like they were whispered, or like they were like muttered crazily, or in the background, or was that just straight up?
Do you have like a sense motive or anything to help you kind of
that would be kind of a sense motive-y.
Yeah.
Hang on. I got a 22 on that, but I imagine Thane's is better.
We will find out momentarily.
Mine's bad. You guys roll.
So that's a 21, but I have a what are they called? Resolve point, which means I get to use my fancy envoy thing and add a d6 to said 21, making it a 26.
It's a little bit difficult to tell because none of you have spoken to a Croson before, and despite reading a little bit about how they talk, it's a little bit difficult to sort of parse this out. However, from what you do know, someone who you don't imagine that someone who wished you harm would say those kinds of warnings to you. You almost think that it's more like of a information, like to the point, like just getting to the points that here's just like, here's the status, right? Like everything was kind of in a very monotone kind of a voice, and still like very staccato, even in the broken common language. So not really any emotion to it.
Okay, so not like everything is fine, friendly meat. You're in trouble. Get out of here.
Yes. It was not like that. It was more just constant the entire time.
So they went off script, but to warn us, not to threaten us. Thane will respond with some Croson saying, like leaning into the wind, something that we picked up from the margins of those notes, like, okay, but we're still coming in, that sort of term, okay. And then he will point for Zan to bring us down.
You want me to buzz the landing site first so we can take a look at it before we land?
If that makes you feel better, Zan, go right ahead.
Make me feel a hell of a lot better.
I think it's smart, but don't be obvious, yes?
And it'll give you a chance to get acclimatized to the winds in case we need to do any more flying.
Yeah, speaking of the winds, go ahead and make a few different piloting checks as you come in. One kind of as you're navigating towards the area, another to sort of do that pass around it, and then and come back around, and then finally a third one to land if you decide to.
24 and 23 to assist him as co-pilot.
Yeah, I got a 22, a 27, and a 18. Plus the bonuses from the assist.
That's with the bonuses?
Before the bonuses.
Before? Okay.
And we also get +1s on piloting checks from the ship, just FYI.
Oh, I'll throw that in too.
Okay. So these winds are definitely really, really strong, and definitely it is not a fun ride to come down into this planet. So if any of you would mind making like a fortitude check to kind of buffer the...
Not vomit?
Yes. Yeah, to sort of keep your meal inside of you, as like... Zan's doing a really good job of piloting this thing, but there is so much turbulence that it is very, very rocky.
I got a 19.
Cursing in my breath as I bring it down. God, can't win.
This is where Sally makes a joke that she's glad she doesn't have any meat space body to have to deal with this, because this looks really awful.
15.
Crazy.
So did anyone get lower than 15?
I got a 7.
Okay. Yeah, so after you've landed, it sort of all rushes back up with you, and you end up losing your launch after you land, after keeping it sort of together for most of that time to pilot your starcraft.
Wanting to kind of watch off to the side.
I observe the leavings and go, wow, they look the same going out as they did going in.
Yeah!
Is everybody all right?
Thane will give Zan a pat on the shoulder, and better after we landed than during. Good job.
Thanks. Ship, are you in one piece? I'm gonna yell out to the ship.
Sally says, "Well, we've been better, a little shaken up. I think we lost a small panel on the outside of our vehicle, and there's I don't know, there could be some loose parts somewhere. I'll do some scans internally and figure out, make sure the engine's okay."
Thanks, Sally. in character, I've got a hygiene kit. I don't remember exactly what it adds, but if it's got like a Listerine type of thing, he will offer Zan a swig before we group up by like the ramp and get ready to leave.
Thank you.
You can keep that one.
Alcohol's terrible.
All right, let's go on
a ground or in a building, in a place.
Okay, so this area it's just outside of the main city, and there's some cleared platforms where it have been built for landing starships. They're not super large, just a little bit larger than the size of this vehicle, actually. And you're on one of the platforms, and there's one other one on the opposite side of a building.
All right. Local ordinances don't particularly matter to us right now. The Starfinder Society has already lost 1.5 people on this planet, so we're going to go armed and armored for the duration of our stay. So everyone do a quick weapons check, and then we'll stay low and run to that one building that we see and see who comes to greet us from there. Sound good?
Click, check.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Can everyone make a willpower check for me?
14.
That's a 16. A better save, but a worse roll.
What was that, Sparks?
12.
I figured out what I'm bad at.
Y'all crazy now. Trees.
Ah!
What'd you say, Zan?
Roll initiative.
Get an 8.
An 8. Okay. All right.
It's always good when the GM just takes notes and doesn't say anything. Like, that's interesting. How do you feel about your mother? And she's just over there writing stuff down. That's good. Everything's fine, guys.
Everything's under control. Situation normal.
This is definitely not indicative of anything, and you should not metagame these. Okay.
Hey, I got a silly question. What color is the sky?
The sky is blue, in fact.
Alright. I've never seen a blue sky, so that's pretty cool.
It is this really amazing. I would call it sky blue, but that only like means something to you in terms of like the hex code for it, like on the terminal, right? Like,
dare we say azure?
Like, theoretically, like that color must have come from like the actual sky, and now you can actually appreciate it. And just between us, it's actually better when you're standing on a planet than looking at a terminal.
It's control panel blue.
Yeah.
So like now I'm picturing the four of us like low against the wind with like coats and cloaks and stuff all getting pulled at by it, and like we're scurrying halfway across, and then Sparks like stops halfway and is like, whoa, like we gotta double back for her. Like she's like, pretty, and we're like, damn it, Sparks.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I'm
like
wearing my goggles and I've pulled my clothes up around me, leaning forward into the wind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I said, the wind is really strong, certainly stronger than anything you sort of experienced before, and not that Absalon Station has any wind whatsoever, but it's definitely difficult to get around. It's also very loud. It's hard to hear each other speaking.
I'm gonna pop on a gas mask, put my hood up, and just comm check. Can you hear me well now?
Yeah, you can hear him, but it can be difficult sometimes to make out precisely the words that each other is saying. But through enough context clues in the sentence, you generally don't have a problem understanding each other. It's just you have to strain and concentrate a little bit to do so. Just like you have to strain and work at it to actually walk towards a destination.
Can I make a quick computer roll to see if I can tune my speaker to compensate against the wind so they can hear me a little more clearly through the speaker?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and make a roll for that.
Comes out to a 21.
Yeah, so you figured out a way to sort of change the pitch of your voice, to make it so that it's much easier to understand what you're saying.
I'll explain how to do that for everybody else.
Thane is mostly going to let his swanky suit of heavy armor do the trick instead of like an additional like external gas mask or whatever, because armor can handle that sort of basic life support. I picture the helmet on the ceremonial plate as like a fairly practical, and for a kind of sci fantasy setting, basic helmet, but then it's got like a holographic, like Greco-Roman crest. Because it is like a fancy officer class of ceremonial plate. So it's not like a physically there bulky crest, but like this, kind of lightly glowing hollow thing, like when it's all powered up. Because it is supposed to kind of look impressive, and it's the officer class, not the basic troop ceremonial plate. So I picture there's like this weird, kind of glowy thing. So he's gonna, just let the kind of low-key environmental protection built into the armor handle it. But even so, like, he hasn't got a super high con, and he's the breed of Lashunta that are like the long and skinny ones, not the short and stocky flavor of Lashunta. So he's probably having to kind of hunker down and lean into it a little bit. And he's like, oh, this heavy armor's not so bad.
Yeah, so this is one time that heavy armor is going to make things a little bit easier for you, in fact.
It's like, good thing I super mega qualified as a soldier with being comfortable in heavy armor, because it's going to not keep, it'll help me not blow away.
Yeah.
So, I think we're all looking very different with the ways that we lean into the wind. One of us has a whipping tail and is like starstruck at the sky. One has his cool long coat. And, I think we're all looking pretty dope.
Dude, I strap myself to your thing because I have a belaying cable, and I just don't want to fly off.
So you're like, you so
That's great.
Climbing on my back. It's cool. So we will get used to the wind, kind of leaning into it as needed, and make our way to this presumably fairly low slung. I'm picturing kind of an aerodynamic hobbit hole type of bunker. We'll make our way to that, whatever the appropriate name for the building is here by the landing pads.
Yeah, so kind of like as you're walking towards there, leaning kind of back into the side a little bit to kind of brace yourself against the wind, against it like pushing you like into the building. Looking around you see lots of the windmills and wind turbines that I was mentioning before. You can definitely like look off into like the downtown area where the buildings are definitely taller. Nothing as tall as somewhat like the big tall buildings on Absalon Station or some of the skyscrapers on some of the other packed worlds. But you guess probably like 15, 20 stories, which after you're experiencing this wind is actually pretty impressive construction techniques with the wind, with the mills on top of it as well.
I guess it's what they're used to, so like I'll assume they know what they're doing. We don't need to.
You do see a couple locations where there is smoke kind of billowing from places in the city, and by billowing I mean it kind of like comes up and like has really long trails.
Does this look like wood smoke or industry, or does it look like oily chemical fire kind of thing?
This does not look like a standard industry smoke. This is definitely the kind of like burning structure type smoke. So it's like very dark and from parts of the city that you wouldn't necessarily think would have industry. Although not familiar with this area, you don't know for sure, but it doesn't seem like the kind of thing that would just be standard industry smoke.
All right. So we've got some emergency fires that have been lit of the crisis variety. But I think checking in first is still going to be the way to go. So yeah, let's head to this low building and see who we meet there, I guess.
Okay. So the door is a bit lower than you're used to. The people of Chris are definitely shorter than elsewhere, and because of that, all their structures are sized appropriately because they don't have to worry about accommodating other species. So anyone who's over 6 feet tall is going to have a little bit of a problem. So you have to duck down to get into the doorway. The ceilings are about 6.5 to 7 feet tall, but there are light fixtures inside. There's a pretty well-lit structure, very warm inside, a very warm lighting, and you see some very comfortable looking furniture, leather, and metal frames. Some couches kind of sitting around like what looks to be like a waiting area. There's a desk up against like a far wall, and there's a male Croson standing there, and he waves you over as you enter.
Yeah, Thane's probably gonna have to duck pretty visibly. I couldn't find like specific character generation roles for height, but they say Lashunta range from 5 to 7 feet tall, and he's the sub branch that tends towards tallness. So he's probably 6.5 feet or so, not counting the armor. So he's gonna duck and then like duck twice because he's also gonna be worried about sparks on his back, like until we get indoors and I feel her hop off. So he's gonna like probably duck kind of comically low because he doesn't want to brain the Technomancer. But yeah, then he'll kind of give Sparks a second to hop off so she can approach our local with some dignity instead of being a human backpack. And then we'll head over towards our little greeter here.
Okay.
I will walk standing straight up because I fit in here comfortably.
I'll fall in behind him.
Okay.
Yeah, I just walk in.
So the guy there, he kind of like looks you over, each of you looking vastly different than the next one. And you can tell like he's really not familiar with any of you before. Like you can tell like he's never seen any of your species before except for Zan, right? Like he's seen humans before, but the rest of you are new to him. And kind of like you can tell he's looking you over to sort of like judge you, and sort of like out of interest and curiosity. And he says, in common, that's pretty good, but not like someone who's been studying common for a while, but someone who's had a crash course for a year or so. And he says, welcome to Crosa. This isn't the best of times to visit. What, may I ask, brings you here?
In god-awful Croson, but sincere, I will respond with, steady foots, friend. We here find Fandy. Starfinder help. Starfinder help.
He smiles at you. He says, I think I can speak in common a little bit better than you're going to be able to communicate in Croson, but thank you for the kind gesture. Yes, I remember the previous group that was here. I've already been in contact with Fandy, and she is on her way here. she seemed surprised to get word more Starfinders arriving.
Excellent, thank you. We are concerned as well with the struggles your planet is going through, but it is in our nature to help if we can. We would like to see what has happened so we can help the people of Krosa if possible, and so we can help our Starfinder friends also if possible.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I don't exactly know how you're going to help. Things are pretty bad, and no one has any idea what's going on.
Are your people familiar with magic?
We have some shamans. Yes. I don't know what's going on, though. We don't have much information. He looks over to the wall. There's like a screen that he turns on, and there's like a... if you're familiar with like a CRT like screens, it has like that familiar like buzz, and then like the image kind of like shows up, like not all at once like an LCD screen, but like in that familiar sort of way that CRT monitors work. And
old-fashioned.
yeah, and it's a news program, and on it there's you can't really understand anything that's being said, of course, but
lost you there.
So there's like what looks to be like a news broadcast, perhaps. It's a lot of images from around the what it looks like from the planet. We're just lots of images of what's going on. You see lots of people kind of acting like weirdly, like lashing out at like invisible things. You see fires burning. You see some people being interviewed that look really scared. There's more images of people who are sort of in trouble. There's images of some bodies laying on the ground. There's more images of fire. There's a building that's been knocked over. There's lots of vehicles in the street that have been in large accidents. So you get the very strong impression that there's a lot of chaos going on in the city. The guy, after a few moments, says, we don't have much in the way of information to go from. The people on the screen say that there is widespread chaos throughout Yolanda, and there's untold violence. People are seeing things. There's reports of people being attacked by any sort of thing you can imagine. People.
You said all over Yolinar. What about Ryla?
We don't have any information from Ryla at the moment. We don't have very good communication between our two nations. So news from Ryla tends to come at a very delayed rate. These images are from the last few days, usually like pictures and motion videos take some time to get here.
We had heard of your problems and are as familiar with them as we can be with only one reliable witness, but we're here to help however we can. And I'll point towards Velasco. This is our ship's doctor and a traveled man. And then I'll point over towards our little Yosoki friend. And she graduated with honors from the Arcanimirium Academy on this.
I've never heard of that.
Our home station. And he knows this guy doesn't know what that shit means, but like, still, it's important to make it sound good and hopefully be comforting. And she is.
I'm an expert.
Yeah, she is a skilled technomancer, able with both science, scholastics, and sorcery. It is our hope that we will be able to assist you in some way.
He contemplates things. He strokes his braided beard and says, I don't know what all of that means, but it sounds like maybe you can help, I hope.
So do we.
Give me some judge intentions to sort of read him and what he says.
Sense motive coming up. 13 plus 4 is a 17. Add on the d6 for my envoy trick. Plus 4. So that's going to be a 21 total.
Okay. So he speaks common in a very Croson way of speaking. So it's very short words with definitive gaps between the words. Not quite as melodic as we might speak, with things tones that go up and down a lot, and words that kind of run together pretty well. It's a very distinct style, and he definitely hasn't adapted to that kind of speaking yet. And because of that, you still you get an impression from him that he's trying to be braver and, I guess, sturdy in their culture in face of what is quite possibly easily described as pure chaos going on outside.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I'm pretty scared too. I would be more scared if we couldn't just fucking fly away. So yeah, I totally get it, buddy. Your people are locked in a weeks-long bout with madness. So yeah, I will not hold some trepidation against him. What else?
Hey, Sparks, your question was pretty good. We have a spaceship. Is there somebody, I looked at the gentleman, is there somebody in the other nation you would trust to communicate with you if we can get in touch with them?
From the other nation, they have their own starport, and you could probably contact them. Here is a radio code that we know that they use. You can't actually access it from here. You would have to get over towards there, towards Ryla before the range would allow you to communicate with them.
Well, that's not a problem.
Yeah, the atmosphere is probably pretty thin because of all the winds. What about maths? What sort of percentage are we looking at as far as your population being affected by this madness?
There's really wild estimates. Anywhere between 2 and 10% of the population seems to be experiencing violent reactions to what's going on, and another 10 to 20% are reporting hallucinations as well.
And is there any pattern, common ethnic groups, religion?
Not that we can find.
Disease?
No.
I hold out a picture of the tree. Does this look familiar to you?
Yes, that's a willow tree. They're very common on Crosa.
Is it perhaps the symbol of a cult or a religion?
Well, it's possible. I don't know of any. That would be blasphemy to be in such a thing. So that knowledge of cults would not be disseminated or allowed to exist.
No offense was intended with my question. We are new to your planet.
No, I understand, and visitors often are unfamiliar with our ways.
Geographic area, maybe, or spread? anything of that, or did it happen everywhere at once?
It is happening. It seems to be happening everywhere in Yolanda, from what we can tell. There are millions here in this city, so there's still. It means there's quite a high number of people that are very dangerous. Our nation is roughly 500 million people.
I think we would like to speak with Fondi as soon as she gets here, and perhaps visit your neighbors. It could be that this phenomenon started over there, or has not reached them yet, and it could be a safe place for people to go. He's going to pointedly not talk about the possibility of it like being an attack from them.
It could easily be
it's probably clear.
Oh.
Okay.
Nothing. Give me nothing. It's fine.
So yeah, you can talk to him for a little bit and look at the pictures on the screen. After a short time, Fondi does arrive, and she greets you. She has hair that's down a little bit past her shoulders, but it's braided in a long braid. Her hair's dark and with a few streaks of gray running through it. She says, "Hello, friends. I hope times find you steady."
We hope so as well. Kopala sends her regards and wishes us to wish you steady foots. We're here to help as much as we can. He's kind of switched back and forth. Whenever he goes broken, it's his attempts at crossing. But we're here to help if we can. Would you be comfortable coming with us to visit your neighbor? We would like to investigate Ryla.
Ryla, her eyes kind of open and said, yeah, we can visit Ryla. I need to give notice to my government that I will be leaving for Ryla. We track people who come and go as a measure of information.
If you think that's necessary, do what you feel is best. Before we continue, however, how is your family?
Thankfully, my family seems to be okay. We've had to relocate as our building unfortunately caught fire early in the chaos.
I hope that they are well, and I am glad to hear that they seem to be. Are you sure you need to report to your government before you'd simply come visit our starship? We would be fine with it if you did not.
Well, do you mean visit your starship, or do you mean travel with you to Ryla?
Yes.
She's on to you.
Very well. I do need to make a call quickly. It will not take long. I will be back in 1 minute.
Very well. Do what you must.
She talks with the guy there at the desk and then goes into a back room for
You are a bad influence.
Laws are stupid, but if they make her comfortable, they make her comfortable.
She comes back relatively quickly. She says, "Okay, we have permission to visit Ryla."
Very well then. Let's make our way back to our ship then, and cross this stormy ocean. He says it all upbeat, like the last time we flew on this planet, it didn't make our pilot throw up.
I'm already getting queasy as I get up, running back to the ship.
She looks at it and, with a little bit of trepidation, she asks, "Is it steady?"
As a rock.
As steady as Zan at the helm.
As I walk wobbly kneed into the ship.
I don't know what you mean by that, but...
The stone is sure.
Very well. Ah, yes.
And as we stumble up the the ramp and get back aboard. Oh, my apologies. Zan, our helmswoman, Belasco, our ship's doctor, and Hunter, and Sparks, our engineer and an Arcanamirium sage. I am Caligos Thane.
Well, welcome to Crosa. I wish it could be under better circumstances.
Welcome to our ship. So do I.
All right, everybody strap in.
Sally?
It's going to be fun.
Sally, are we
Yes?
going to be able to take off?
I see no reason why we can't.
I
Excellent.
sit down at the helm. I start flipping number of switches and dials and going through pre-flight checks.
I'm going to roll piloting to see if I can find a wind pattern or something like that to give us a smoother ascent.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, go ahead and roll. During all the pre-flight stuff, Fondi turns to you, Thane, and says, You've spoken with Kapala? How are they?
Kapala is as well as can be hoped.
Sad.
1 second, my mouse is freaking out.
Kopala
What?
appeared sad when we spoke with
Yeah.
them.
But yeah, Kapala is as well as can be hoped. Julakesh did not make it. Saba is resting.
Well, at least 2 of them seem to have survived. Hopefully, none of you will befall their fate.
I'm sure we'll be fine. Let me show you how to strap in.
Okay, so Belasco, what was your roll?
I got a 17.
Okay, you can sort of, by watching some of the flags that are in the area that are kind of like helping to indicate like wind and strength and speed and stuff. You can I'll give a plus 3 to the piloting test for Zam.
It's all you, baby.
All right, I'll fire up the computer to aid us as well, and I will take off.
Smooth.
That should be pretty smooth. I got a 24 plus the 3 and the 1 at 28.
Okay. Yeah, so you have no problem taking off and starting to leave the city. It's still just as rough and choppy and turbulent as it was coming in. But you're getting used to it a little bit more, and it's not quite as bad for you all sitting inside the vehicle.
We also have some anti-nausea pills if we need them.
Please.
I will pass you over one.
I chew it up.
Fandy seems a little bit nervous, just like you don't even have to roll. You can just see that she's a bit uncomfortable with this, and
Yeah, I'm going to take us up out of the atmosphere.
I mean, and it doesn't hurt to let her get a look at her world and kind of distract her that way. So Thane will spend some diplomacy bullshit to be like, as we get clear of the atmosphere, be like, there we go. The ride will be more comfortable this way. And we thought you might like a look at your world.
she's absolutely bewildered with this view. She says there's only been one other Croson that has left the planet and come back to talk about it.
I flipped the ship upside down, so looking up out the window, she can see the planet.
Were they a male or female Croson?
Male.
Congratulations. You're the first woman.
She's kind of speechless, just kind of like looking at her planet.
It's a really pretty planet.
So yeah, we're gonna go kind of the long way to go halfway around the planet. We're like going up and over, to improve morale.
Eventually, part way there, she speaks up and says, "I thought there would be wind out here. I can't believe there's no wind. It's so quiet. I can hear so much."
Don't think about it if it's going to weird you out.
Oh, that's nothing. Hey, Sally, will you kill all non-essential systems of the ship? Just kind of go quiet for a minute.
Yeah, so like it goes dark. A lot of the life support kind of dies down a little bit. Like it's still on, but it's not like blowing like at full strength. And your engines are cut back to just the necessary amount. So things are like really, really quiet at this point. And
yeah, we'll just kind of drift for a while and let her see her planet in the dark, and yeah.
After a while, she says, "It's a little too quiet. I'm feeling a little."
I was worried it might creep you.
All right, Zan.
I click the control panel and play some fluty music.
Okay, yeah, she thanks you for that, and but it's still just like kind of like glued to like the window, like, even though she's in a starship, right? Like she's just like glued to looking at her planet.
All right, I'm going to set a course for re-entry. It's going to get real loud here in a minute, so you should be right back at home.
Okay.
Only on the other continent.
Let's fire it up and go see what we can see in Ryla.
You got that, we entered the atmosphere. Hit that channel up.
Okay. Yeah, so you said the same thing. You ask for permission to land, and you do get permission. They gave you a coordinate place to land, and go to make some pilot checks, and you can make some perception checks as well if you'd like to sort of look over the area.
Yeah. Also, we're not going to immediately hurry off the ship here. When the time there's one last conversation I wanted to have with Fandy before we left. But here's a perception roll. 12, so 17 on perception.
28.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 20 and a 28 of piloting and bring us in.
Okay. Yeah, you piloted very well. There's not a problem getting down, and you're starting to get the hang of flying in this really high wind. But on the way down, though, you all do happen to notice there's one pretty stark difference that you can notice. The city kind of it doesn't look exactly the same, but the architecture is pretty similar. They have tall buildings. They have the windmills and wind generators as well. Colors are slightly different here, but still mostly the same. The big thing that you notice, though, is that there doesn't seem to be any fires going on in the city. There's no smoke billowing from anywhere.
I was afraid of that.
Let's not tip our hand when we get down there. Let's just kind of assess the situation out.
Do you understand what we're talking about, Fondy?
Oh, so you're saying this in
Yeah, I think just out loud conversationally to the group.
She looks very stoic, and she nods.
We think there may be trouble, and I will offer her my pulsecaster pistol grip first. Do you know how to use one of these?
You pull that trigger and it will harm someone, yes?
Yeah,
I don't understand it, but I've seen those before, yes.
This one will not kill anyone. Keep your conscience steady and low to the ground.
She nods at you. Maybe it would be best if I don't get off the ship.
You can stay on the ship, but even so, you hold on to that. Sally will call us if we're needed. If there's trouble, we will come running right back to you. I promise.
As she grins a little bit and looks satisfied. And with that, I think we're going to call it here. It's an interesting cliffhanger. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and roll the credits. Thank you everyone for being here today.
Thank you, Erica.
Good job as ever.